What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Law of Attraction Epilogue series, episode 8. In this video, I want to talk to you about what I believe is one of the most important components to manifestation, your spiritual growth, and finding your purpose in life. But I also want to share with you why this concept is not always taught very responsibly, and why misunderstanding this concept can be potentially dangerous. And that concept is, of course, the emotional guidance system. Most people believe that their emotions are untrustworthy or unreliable. In fact, most people have a love-hate relationship with their emotions because they love when they feel good, but they hate when they feel bad. And unfortunately, this dysfunctional relationship with our emotions is the norm in our society. But I'm going to make a statement that's probably going to shock some people and potentially even trigger some egos to feel angry. And that statement is this: your emotions are always correct. Not only are they always correct, but they are the highest source of wisdom that you have access to. Now, to many of you, this is not a new concept. Teachers like Abraham Hicks talk about this idea all the time and why emotions are so important in the law of attraction. But what doesn't get talked about very often is where this understanding can go wrong and potentially get you into all kinds of trouble. One of the phrases that gets used a lot in the spiritual community is follow your joy. And it's oftentimes used as a kind of band-aid for people that are going through difficult times in life. So somebody might be feeling very depressed and their friend says to them, you're just focusing on all the wrong things, man. You need to just start following your joy. So follow your joy is true, but it's important to know why it's true and what it actually means. Because many people believe that saying follow your joy means do whatever you think feels good in the moment. But this is the first big misunderstanding to the emotional guidance system. Our emotions are never speaking to our circumstances. They're not telling us to do anything. Our emotions are only speaking to whether or not our perspective is in alignment with the source's perspective. Let's suppose that this girl just got out of a relationship where she was cheated on. So she goes to a bar and meets a guy who starts flirting with her. Given her current situation, this attention feels really good. Not only does it feel really good, it feels amazing. And so if she remembers her friend's casual advice to follow her joy, she might think that following her joy means that she should accept this guy's invitation to go home with him tonight. This might feel good in the moment, but upon waking up the next day, the guy doesn't text her back, and she realizes that he simply used her to be another notch on his belt. Not to mention the fact that this guy could have potentially been a dangerous person. So now she feels used and naive, and she's twice as depressed about her life as she was the day before. So in using this example, we can start to understand this principle a little bit better. Your emotions are never speaking to your situations. They are always speaking to how you are defining yourself. So whenever you see yourself in a way that the universe sees itself, you're made to feel joyful. When you see yourself in a way that runs in opposition to how the universe sees itself, then you are made to feel negative. This is your higher self's way of letting you know that you've adopted a point of view that doesn't compute from higher consciousness. So the reason that the woman felt joyful when the man at the bar was hitting on her is because it caused her to suddenly feel valuable and loved again. And so her emotional body was signaling her, yes, that's true. You are loved and valuable. This is a very correct way to feel about yourself because this is the way that the source feels about itself. Everyone is an extension of the source, just like your dream character at night is an extension of you. So in the same way, the universe only sees itself as one being. It does not differentiate between a crumb and a spiral galaxy. So it does not see you as any less God than anything else in the universe. So because of this, your emotions are literally signaling you whether your thinking is correct or incorrect from the highest perspective. The ego uses our emotions against us by giving us a false notion of what that emotion is saying. It wants us to make each emotion into a friend or an enemy, so that we will either attach to it or fight it. And either way, the ego is strengthened. So if you bomb a test at school, your ego will say, well, you obviously bombed this test because you're stupid. Your emotional body then responds with a negative feeling to let you know that this point of view is not how the source sees you. But because you feel bad about it, your ego will say, see, you feel bad because it's true, you really are stupid. So if you buy what the mind is selling, then you begin to resist or suppress it, and the bad feeling becomes even worse. And this causes you to create an emotional feedback loop. The feelings reinforce the thoughts, which reinforce the feelings, and so on and so forth. And as a result, the belief that I am stupid becomes part of your ego's identity. But this is where the emotional guidance system can start to help you work your way out of egoic attachments and identities that are causing you to suffer. Your emotions are laser-like in their accuracy. But not only are they telling you the level of accuracy of every thought, but they also tell you what the nature of this incorrect thought is. This is why there's so many different variations of bad feelings. Depression feels different than anger. Anger feels different than fear, or insecurity, or anxiety. Each negative emotion has a unique signature that allows you to go right to the heart of what's causing the bad feeling. When you think a thought that makes you feel bad, that's because it's not true. When you think a thought that makes you feel good, that's because it is true. If you just stay with the heart of each emotion, it will always lead you directly to the root of that correct or incorrect thought. So for example, the cause of your depression might be the thought or belief that I cannot have something that I desire. That negative emotion is your higher self letting you know that's not true. You can always have what you desire. The root of your fear might be the belief that you will fail at something if you try. So through this negative emotion, the higher self is signaling you that this is incorrect. You are capable. There is no such thing as failure in God's universe. You either succeed or you learn, and both are seen as a success from God's perspective. Learning helps us to evolve, and success shows us where we have already evolved. So mechanically speaking, there are no mistakes in the universe. There's only the expansion of consciousness. Certain decisions that we make create suffering for us, and it is our suffering that infuses us with the motivation to spiritually evolve. We begin to have less and less tolerance for inauthenticity. So if we want to end our suffering, then we have to begin learning wisdom and self-love. So there are no wrong decisions, but there are helpful and less helpful decisions. There are easy and difficult consequences to certain actions. Nobody ever changes until they truly desire it. So from the outside, it might look like somebody is regressing and making poor decisions with their life, but the suffering that they are creating is causing them to move one step closer to desiring that change. So they are ultimately still moving closer to alignment with Source. And so this is why judgment towards yourself or another is always useless. When you come into alignment with who you are, you naturally start paying a lot more attention to what you are feeling and a lot less to what you are thinking. You begin to recognize that thoughts are just ideas auditioning for your attention. They're never true unless you believe them. But feelings are true 100% of the time. They are the only reliable compass that we have. When you do something that's unhealthy for your physical body, your body makes you feel pain. If you place your hand on a stove, it hurts so badly that it makes you never want to do that again. In the same way, you also have an emotional body that alerts you when you place your hand on a metaphysical stove. The metaphysical stove is, of course, an incorrect belief. If you ever played the game Operation as a kid, you know that as long as you stay within the boundary lines, you're winning the game. But the moment you stray too far in one direction, the alarm sounds to signify that you are out of alignment. Your feelings work exactly the same way. They are signifying just how on or off track you actually are in your thinking and perceiving. Many people believe that you should never follow your emotions because emotions can lead you astray. But this is a simple misunderstanding about what emotions are. Your emotions do not lead you astray, quite the contrary. Your emotions tell you when you're already astray. By the time you feel bad, you're already off track somewhere. What actually leads you astray are thoughts. When your mind thinks up a thought, the emotional body responds to let you know whether this thought is healthy or unhealthy, natural or unnatural. The worse an emotion feels, the more unhealthy that thought is. And to use anything else as your guidance system is guaranteed to lead you astray. You cannot feel good unless you perceive correctly. How do you know when you're perceiving correctly? When you feel good. The universe exists so that the source could learn and understand what it is like. When the source decided to project its consciousness into physical reality and forget its essential nature, it gave itself a guidance system to ensure that it could never stray too far in the wrong direction. This is why whenever you feel bad, you become increasingly motivated to turn in the other direction and do something to correct the bad feeling. If the source did not have this guidance system, it would have no reference point to work with and would end up wandering endlessly away from the truth of its essential nature, and therefore no benefit could come from creating a physical universe. So in its divine intelligence, it created emotions. Emotions serve us like the bumpers on a bowling lane that ensure the source can never stray too far in the wrong direction. No matter where you roll the ball, it will eventually hit the target. How many times it bounces back and forth on its way to the target is up to the bowler. But because of our emotions, our eventual success is guaranteed. So in this sense, the way that you feel is always a perfect indication of just how in tune you are with the way reality actually is. This is because only what God created is real. So when you misperceive reality in any way, that is a projection of the ego, and it is therefore an illusion. So in closing, my only admonition for you is this: think less, feel more. Abandon yourself completely to this practice. From this point forward, your only job is to mind your feelings. The moment you feel a negative emotion, instead of getting lost in reactivity, simply stop and ask yourself, where is my thinking incorrect right now? And let the emotion show you. And when you find the thought the emotion is speaking to, you can instantly rejoice and say, awesome, this negative emotion means that this thought is incorrect. The worse the emotion feels, the more untrue it is. The better it feels, the more true it is. The truth is that all of us are chock full of incorrect thinking. So be patient with yourself. It takes time to deprogram all of the false beliefs that we've held during our lives. But if you truly want to be of service to the world in any way, then it is your first duty and obligation to be as happy as you can possibly be. If you're not happy, you're not helping. So how can you become happy? By correcting your thinking. How can you correct your thinking? By listening to your emotional guidance system. From this point forward, your new mantra is think less, feel more.